Okay, I'm hoping I'm in video mode here. This camera is, it operates from the front and ain't like the other one where you can just turn it on. You got to face it and then it starts the video. I wanted to fire back at idiots and other idiots, and then people actually that buy my bikes and stuff. I warned people, the green bike is back. I'm not calling Tommy the idiot. Wait till we get to what I'm going to discuss. He lost the rear engine mount. I tell people that my bikes make a hell of a lot more torque, and he's telling me how great it's running, and he's keeping up with traffic at 35, 40 miles an hour. Well, with a 29-inch bike, that is possible, and I know what my engines can do, and I was just on it. It does fly. There's no doubt. I got the secret stew, I should say, for these bikes. Not to mention, I've been on that since my first time since Iraq. I've been on that bike now 2-3 times. First time I almost had a calamity with it. I'm not used to riding it again. I'm just not used to the bigger bike. I like my toy bikes too, as much as I say that. Notice I have the frame slotted on the Kinetic. The engines have an inherent, even the new motors, we're going to fix them for Cosmos since I'm doing their factory work. Their engine inventory is coming up here, and I'm going to fix the key slot shaft issue. So when you buy an engine from me or Cosmo, which I prefer you have the engine installed here, this is the third time this engine's been out of Johnny Warner's bike. Johnny, hopefully you're watching my videos and you subscribe. It doesn't go out of here unless it's right, especially for the amount of money people pay. It's hard-earned cash, and people don't deserve to get ripped off in today's economy. That's just my shop's view and my personal view. So it's going to go back together. I corrected the key slot shaft. I have the correct, the Red Devil clutches for these bikes. I've been stressing to people that they're getting aftermarket clutches from other places, and then they're calling here. They're paying 2 times for a clutch they could have paid for once. I'm going to cover that. Now I'm going to fire at the idiocy, the lunatics I'm seeing here on... I just couldn't believe the other video I watched the other day. The guy had a fuel tank. This is the one off the bike when the coal company truck hit me. It's a little smudged up, but it got cracked in the accident, and I tried to fix it, and it didn't work. But anyway, that was another idiot that doesn't make room for bicycles and stuff. You can work on these Kinetics basically with simple tools, which is nice. And you can also take a piece of fuel line and you can slip a piece of line over that with a bolt over it. I saw a guy take a fucking match, and if I have to curse in my videos, threw a match and burned the excess fuel out of the tank. Let me tell you people, some of the older tanks or a tank like that, you might get away with that. But some of the tanks on the larger bikes, if you try that, they have about maybe 6 to 10 ounces of reserve fuel in them goddamn things. You're going to blow your house up. That thing's going to peel back like a banana peel and throw shrapnel, and you're going to be minus something, whether it's just your hair or an eye or an injury. I don't know where the fuck these guys are coming from. I really don't. But they should stay off of YouTube. Advising somebody, he took the tank and dropped the match in it inside his shop. The reason why I do a lot of work out here, especially with bikes, I do welding and stuff if they have fuel in them. I usually empty them, but there's always that possibility of that little bit of extra fuel being available to cause a fire. I'm not going to burn my house or my shop down with all the money I have invested in it. And for the few peanuts I make off of these repairs, it's not worth blowing up your goddamn house and not having any common sense. The other thing is, the idiot took a frayed, like a household, not even a commercial extension cord, and was shoving the bare wiring inside the outlet of in the house. My stuff looks like something because I don't do half-assed work. He was trying to weld a piece of metal to the tank, stick it as a stud welder. You could actually build a stud welder, one that has direct current. I don't know where these people are coming from. I just don't know. But if I want to do that, I'll use epoxy, and I'm patient. I'll let something sit a day or two before I repaint it. You know, so the epoxy can set up or whatever. Just have some patience. By the way, these Kinetics, they function on a belt. Get a new belt. A lot of people are bringing these here, and they're wondering why they're not hitting top speed, or they're missing some hamsters off the turnstile. It's just a simple equation of getting another belt. You can get the grooved belt, or you can get a solid commercial belt. I use those. Those are about 20 bucks a pop. But like I said, I want this guy's bike right. I don't care who you are, where you come from, or whatever. I just want your, when you bring something here, I'm not happy with the carburetor. I jetted it. I think it's more of a fuel, actually not a fuel, a throttle cable issue with that bike. You want to drop your motor out of your kinetic, slot your frame, and it comes right down. If you move this cable out of the way, disconnect the wiring. There's not much to these bikes. That's why I can work on them with some pretty primitive tools versus some of the stuff I need for the larger bikes. Just get it through your head that you're not going to get some of these repairs done all in one day. People tend to want to rush stuff and put it back together with broken parts. That doesn't help you, and it doesn't help the bike ride nice. It doesn't help it drive nice. It just doesn't do anything for you to rush something together. Here's another one I brought home for a customer. These guys, they want to go out and buy these Chinese scooters for $1,200 to $2,000 on the internet, and the only parts they carry to repair them is the goddamn wheels or the tires or some brakes and stuff like that. But most of the time when you have an issue with one of those bikes, nobody wants to work on them up here, especially the bigger shops. They tell you to get it the hell out of there. They don't want to touch it. First of all, the parts are too expensive for us to make any money, really. Is why I don't make much money out of this for what the parts cost. And then the labor. And then when something's broke, something else usually breaks, and then you need to order that, and the customer doesn't want to pay for it because you broke it, according to them. No, your bike broke. I took it apart, and something else fell apart. Nothing else to say about it. So I don't argue those immature points. I just tell them to pack it up. I don't even finish the bike. I would tell them to get it the hell out of here. It only happened to me once, but it did happen to me. And that's my attitude about it. You don't want your bike back together? Fuck it. There's other stuff to work on. I don't need it. But these idiots throwing matches in fuel tanks inside their shop. Like I said, some of those tanks have a couple ounces reserve in them, which is, for a motorcycle is fine. On a vehicle, on a tank like my truck or something like that, you got almost a 2.5 to 3 gallon reserve inside that tank, and a lot of it doesn't come out when you turn the tank upside down. There's still maybe a gallon or so that remains in the tank, and you throw a match in there, you're going to have a heaping big boom boom. Like I said, you're going to be without a face or eyebrows or hair or something, or missing your face completely. Don't be an idiot and stop watching these idiots do this stuff. And sure as hell, don't do it in your house or your shop. And getting back to my bikes, I'm going to tell anybody that runs these motorized bikes to go over your mount bolts, make sure everything's tight when you come back from, a run. You can run it a week or so. I don't know if you know how long you're going to ride it during the week or whatever, just a short ride or down to the store or whatever. But you go over this stuff and make sure these bolts are tight. I don't know, people aren't very gifted. But he actually beat up the carburetor. The whole engine slid down on the bike and everything. It was lucky it ran again. I have 2 in there that meatheads did the same thing. Something came loose, and they didn't want to bring it here. They just wanted to do a half-assed. Well, in there they set. They can pay me or whatever. Or, you don't have to be an idiot. Something comes loose, I'll fix it. It doesn't normally happen that way, but I told you, when I assemble these bikes in the winter, and then you set this bike out in the sun, the metals soften because of what they're being made out of, the peanut brittle in China. There's no getting the stuff tight. Not in the winter months, but in the summer, when the metals soften, you can go over everything. His handlebars, everything on this bike were loose. It was coming apart. I had a hell of a time going over making sure everything was tight, because even I'm not aware of every nut and bolt that's on them, but if it's your bike, you can become more intimate with it. I'm not that intimate with every model bike I build or work on. I do try to make sure they're right when they go out of here. So heed my point. Stop listening to these boobs on YouTube. It really disturbed me when I saw some of that stuff. If my dad would ever see me have done something like that in the house, he probably would have killed me. I probably wouldn't have made it to the age I'm at. My dad's not a social person. I don't talk about him very much, but some of the things mechanically, he was pretty much genius, and he was pretty much used a lot of common sense when he took stuff apart and how he took it apart. And then when I got into aviation, I saw a lot of the same traits my dad had in a lot of the men that I worked with. And yeah, take it from me. Develop good work habits and don't light something on fire inside your shop, and do not weld inside your shop, even if it has a concrete floor and it's built like a brick bunker. Do not weld inside the shop unless you have to. I mean, if you're insured to be a commercial garage versus a,